o'clock, we'd like to call the meeting to order. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda is attendance, and can we do a roll call starting from the end?
John Johnson.
David Bouchard. Craig Shackness.
Russ Leisure.
Kathy Tombarelli, Municipal Planner.
And Kathy Eddy, Administrative Assistant.
Tonight, we have a new member, David Bouchard. Welcome. It's his first meeting tonight. Skip Meeker is excused. He's the chair. Russ Sweet, who's the vice chair, has moved out of state, and so tonight we need to vote for a new vice chair. I'll entertain nominations for a vice chair.
I nominate Craig Shackness.
Second.
Any discussion? Are you willing to serve as the vice chair?
Yes.
Let's take a vote. All in favor? You can vote for yourself. Motion carries 5-0. You will be taking over the meeting now.
Okay, on tonight's agenda, we have two items. However, public hearing variance for Tarpon Towers and also a public hearing for David Keith. That, as I understand, has been postponed.
Correct. We got an email from the attorney representing Keith requesting a postponement until the next available Board of Appeals meeting, which is March 25th at 6 p.m.
Very good. All right, so I'd like to open the meeting for public comment. And if you wish to speak, please come to the podium so that we can get it on the recording.
How's it going tonight?
And please
Well, how are
remember,
you, sir?
state name,
My name's Scott.
address too,
And
please.
Scott, last name and
Scott Gartsu. I live on 11 Bear Claw Road, off of State Park Road. My property, I have 22 acres. It borders Wilderness Way. So we did a petition here in Naples. 148 people signed it, saying no to this proposed cell phone tower.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
So,
We'd like to take that.
We have not received a petition or any
So-
information, and neither have the clerks, not to my knowledge.
We're not allowed to accept new information.
That's correct.
All right. So in order for you to have that allowed in the meeting, we're only looking at previous information as existed. New information cannot be presented in a Board of Appeals meeting. So I'm glad that you went through the effort, but unfortunately that information can't be considered when we're doing our variance.
okay.
My name is Darcy Bassett. First, I want to say that nobody in this town knows about this. There's not enough people that know about this. I only just found out this information. I live on State Park Road. I have a lot of health issues, and unfortunately, a cell phone tower would make all of that much worse. It's also within 3 miles of the children's school. EMF and radiation actually penetrates children's skulls at a higher rate than it does adults. It also affects fertility in women. So I understand that you've already made the decisions to do stuff. We have contacted an attorney. We are absolutely going to fight this from State Park Road because it seems very, I grew up in Naples. I love this town. We have 13.5 acres. I had big plans for that property. The value of my property is going to plummet now. No one's going to want to buy that. They're not going to want to live at less than a half a mile from a cell phone tower. So I also would like to put it on all of your plates here that who's gonna pay the difference of what our houses are worth? How is this gonna affect taxes? Are we gonna get a tax break? Are the couple that are gonna purchased this land to do this job, are they going to pay our medical bills when we have brain tumors? Is that even something that Naples cares about, or we don't care about human health? No?
If I may, tonight's appeal is for
Is
the
about the height
height
variance.
only.
Correct. Okay,
If they want to
we'll
appeal
go back
the
to that.
planning board decision,
Yeah,
they
we'll be
can do
doing
that
that.
at a.
So the height variance, 55 feet for a dwelling, right? It also overlooks a historical landmark, and it abuts the state park. Do you really think that the millionaires that purchase land around the lake are going to be thrilled when they see a cell phone tower out their window? I don't. I think that this needs to be like something needs to happen here because nobody knew about this. Not enough of the town was made aware. I understand legally you only had to contact the direct abutters, but it doesn't just affect the direct abutters. Cell phone radiation is it's widely known. There's a lot of science to back this. I came with some of it. I know none of you want to hear it. So we will.
Ma'am, it's not that we don't want to.
Sure.
know,
You can't do
we're
anything
here
about
for
it.
this-
But could the planning board not, I mean, I feel like you guys could have done a little bit more to alert the town, you know? I understand you did what was legally required, but we're human beings, right?
Right.
Is there no, like, humanitarian obligation to look out for the people of your town? That should matter. It also affects the soil, the vegetation, the wildlife. Like, this is bigger than just, oh, we're gonna have better cell service. Right, at the expense of all of the people that live within a 5-mile radius of the tower. So I just wanted to say this because I was not privy. I was one of the people that did not know this was going on until the 11th hour, which creates complete panic for the locals because it's at our expense. And this couple that lives in Wyndham, it's not in their backyard. They own the land, but they don't live here. So they won't be exposed to any of this, and they're getting the payday.
Again, I
Yeah.
understand,
Sure,
but this is not the forum for us to litigate
Sure.
that. And
Sure.
I think in the planning board, they reviewed a lot of the health concerns regarding radiation.
The planning,
And-
yeah, the
Right.
planning board made a decision on February 4th to approve the application with conditions. There is an appeal period, 30 days to appeal a planning board decision.
Sure.
That would be the appropriate
well, that's what we're doing.
method.
I had to scramble and contact an attorney today and
Tonight's.
to try to go after
yeah,
this. I
tonight's
just wanted you
meeting
guys to
is-
know where
yeah.
the town's at because we didn't all know. And I hope that moving forward, this be a lesson to all of you that like these things affect not just the abutters, it affects everybody.
So for site plan review, the required, and I understand that you're not pleased with the required notification process, but we are required to notify all abutters within 500 feet of the property in question, the property line. That is what we notified. We're also required to do, for a public hearing, legal notice in the paper, as well as posting the agenda.
This has been in the Bridgeton
And-
News.
Right,
Correct.
the Bridgeton News, for an issue in the town of Naples, and not all of us read the Bridgeton News, and it was in the Portland Press Herald, and not all of us read the Portland Press Herald. It should have gone out in a letter. I mean, I understand you did your legal obligation, but what I'm saying is you could have stepped outside of that as human beings. Are you all residents of Naples? Is
Yep.
everyone in here a resident of
Yep.
Naples?
Yep.
Then would you want to know, let me ask you this, would all of you want this in your backyard? Do you want to sleep under a radiation tower? Do you? Do any of you want that? No, I'm asking,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
a
just a
rhetorical
yes or a
question.
no. It's would you want it in your backyard? Why would we choose, of all places, the Lakes region? Why would we choose that end of town? This doesn't go with the aesthetic of the town. I never had the opportunity to speak at the other meetings, that's why I understand it's falling on deaf ears at this point. We are going to litigate this, this is not over, But in the future, I hope the town of Naples does better by the residents, because this feels really secretive. It felt wrong. I feel like a little bit like maybe you don't fully understand the scope of the health effects of this. I mean, I was on the phone with an endocrinologist today about this. This is not a joke. This is very important. I grow a garden less than a half a mile from where that cell phone tower is going to sit. This is going to affect my soil. So yeah, I should have known about this. Whether or not I'm a butter, it doesn't matter. I should have known. So I just wanted to make that clear to Naples. This secret stuff is not okay, and this should not have happened this way. So you'll hear from the lawyers.
Any other comments from the audience? I'll take that as a no, and I'll close the public comment section.
Correct.
I ask you to all bear with me, because I'm not a big parliamentary procedure person, so I'm looking to my right for some coaching.
I would allow the applicant to come to the podium next, would probably be the next to discuss the height variance specifically.
Go, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Bodwin. I'm an attorney for Tarpon Towers and also Verizon Wireless. With me tonight is Ken Curley from Tarpon Towers and Martin Lavin, who is a radio frequency engineer from C Squared. If it's okay with you, I'd like to be able to give you a little more context on the project, and then run through the problem we're trying to solve for, which is a coverage gap in Verizon's system. And we can talk about why the height's required and why we chose this lot in
So
particular.
we're allowed to give like 3 minutes for public comment, so
He's the applicant though,
So
so
he
he can discuss it as related to height, because that's
Okay.
what
And
we're
I'll be as
looking at.
brief as possible.
Yeah, if you could limit
Yeah.
your conversation and
Yeah.
your presentation points to the height, but that's what we're here for.
Right.
Otherwise,
Right, you'll see. I just want to say that we have submitted the application in October. This is our fourth hearing. There's been a site visit, and we've addressed many concerns over the past 3 or 4 months. And we got unanimous approval from the planning board last month. So we're here tonight because your zoning ordinance restricts the height to structures in the rural zone to 55 feet. While that may be okay for a building or a church steeple or a flagpole, it'd be virtually impossible for a wireless telecommunications facility to reliably provide service to its customers at 55 feet because the radio frequencies can't go through trees or mountains or vegetation of that sort, and Martin will speak to that. Your zoning ordinance does say, however, that a tower is permitted in the rural zone by right and also considered an essential service, okay? So these things aren't really lining up. We're here today because our site plan review approval is contingent upon getting a variance from you all, and that's why we're here. The proposed height that we need is 120 feet, and there's gonna be a 4-foot whip antenna on top of that, so 124 feet all in. The reason we need that, Martin can explain. It's the minimum height necessary to allow us to provide the coverage to the folks who are on Verizon's network. In addition, right, while your town hasn't adopted the model ordinance in Maine, the model ordinance in Maine suggests that to alleviate aesthetics in town, to alleviate the need for 4 towers instead of 1 slightly taller tower, it encourages folks to co-locate on 1 tower, right? So we have to think of not only the person on top, but the person in 3rd place. So the person in 3rd place may be at 90 feet, right? Whereas the person in the top place may be at 120 feet. So that's the delta we're looking at. Real quick, because this is an unusual situation, but there is some overlapping federal law here. It's called the Telecommunications Act of 1996. That says that it's called the TCA, and the purpose of it was to promote the competition and reducing regulation in order to secure lower prices and higher quality services for American telecommunications consumers. So we fall underneath this act. The act says that the regulation by local zoning boards or planning boards countrywide cannot have the effect of, quote, prohibiting or having the effect of prohibiting the provision of wireless services. And we're here today to show you that if we can't get the variance, Verizon will be, quote, prohibited from providing service and filling its coverage gap, which would be contrary to federal law. So I'm going to hand it over to Martin now. He's going to show you some graphs as to the current condition of coverage in this area, what it'll look like with the pole there, and he'll show you some comparisons at different heights. Thank you.
Apologies for the delay. Mark Lyman, C-Squared Systems on behalf of Verizon. This is our current...
But before you begin, could you move more to your right, towards you, so it will be in the frame of the camera? Thank you. There you go.
This is the depiction of the current situation in town. The black pie wedges here are current sites. These blue ones here are for the proposed site in this location. 3 coverage levels, basically green is in-building coverage, the yellowish color is in-vehicle coverage, and the gray is outdoor coverage provided by these sites. There's the scale there, that's 2 miles right now. This depicts our current situation in this area. There are patches of higher levels of coverage, but mostly it's outdoor coverage, or the white is unreliable coverage, less than outdoor coverage. The situation after this site is built, we fill in a lot of the remaining outdoor patches and provide in-building or indoor coverage over this area here. For the height, the requirement under the ordinance is for 55-foot tower. This shows just the proposed tower by itself. At either the red coverage is at 116 feet for the center line of the antennas, and the yellow color is, excuse me, with 55-foot tower, 51-foot antenna center. You can see there's a drastic reduction in coverage, which is also seen. Even if we switch over to this one, which also shows the existing coverage, you can see the red areas, which show where the proposed site covers and the site complying with the ordinance doesn't. You can see there's still plenty of red showing that shows the coverage difference between the two. And in terms of, just quickly in terms of area, we lose 1.65 miles of in-building coverage, 3.8 square miles of in-vehicle coverage, and 16.3 miles of road coverage, which translates to 92% of our in-building, 81.7% of our in-vehicle, and 90.4% of our new road coverage to comply with the ordinance. So basically, a 55-foot tower is really not in a way of providing service in this area. It's shorter than the trees. The trees absorb a great deal of the signal, so all in all, it really isn't going to work for anybody. 55 feet might work in a city, Portland or someplace right downtown on top of a flagpole or light pole or something like that, but for out here, pretty much ineffective. Of the 17, it's also, our height is actually a little lower than most around here. We have listed 17 sites in the report. Of those, 14 have their antennas higher above the ground level than what we're proposing. So this is on the low end of heights above ground that we're proposing.
Okay.
Any questions for Martin? Martin provided a write-up of that information in connection with the different heights. To the extent we can submit that, Kathy, I'd be happy to submit that. I have 10 hard copies.
That's up to the chair to decide.
Thank you very much. So basically, it's a summary of what it looks like at 55 feet, what it looks like at 116 feet, and why the 116 feet.
I think I
Does the job.
understand it, but I think we should have it.
Yeah, I think.
Should have it in our files.
Yes, correct. And it's up to you if you would like to receive it tonight. Typically, we give out materials in advance of a meeting.
Right.
If you would, if it's going to help you make your decision, you can receive it tonight.
I think you just give a copy.
If I may approach Kathy, I'll just.
Yes.
There's 10 copies here.
Yes.
Martin, thank you.
That didn't have to be turned in before the meeting? But we had to turn our petition in before the meeting? I'm just trying to understand what the rules
We'll
are.
give you a copy to look at. Go ahead and pass this around.
But she's asking
I'm
about,
asking what pretty relevant.
Typically, the information is passed in at the 30 days prior to the application. This is supplemental to the application related to the height. That's up to you guys if you want to look at it. It's, like I said, it's up to you guys if you want to receive it tonight.
I'll receive it, but I think I understand
Yeah.
the coverage.
It is a summary of what he just said.
Yep.
One other thing I wanted to cover real quick is we submitted, Kathy, and I think you circulated in advance of the hearing, this, which is from Tilson, which is the applicant's site engineer. So we just talked about why the height's necessary. This talks about why we chose this site. I'm going to summarize it real quickly. First, we established a search ring, right, within the coverage gap area. And first, we look for places to co-locate on, existing buildings, existing poles. In this location, there are no existing things we can co-locate on, so we look for raw land, okay? Let me just paraphrase it. A suitable site for raw land must satisfy the requirements identified by the RF engineers, must be available for lease, and must have access to a road and be otherwise suitable for constructing a cell tower on. Every effort is made to use existing structures before pursuing a raw land site. We have done that. After a search of this area in particular, Verizon Wireless determined that co-locating on the proposed wireless facility at 26 Wilderness Way is the most appropriate solution to address its targeted coverage. The use of the word co-located here is a little complicated, but because Verizon won't own the pole, they consider it co-locating on some pole they're leasing. So it won't, while this pole would be large enough to accommodate 3 or 4 other carriers. A couple other things I want to say why this site, in our opinion, is the best site, right? If you look at this, I'm not sure if you have copies of it, but it shows our site in aqua, right? So this lot is 37 acres approximately, and it's adjacent to our landlord's other lot. So all told, there's 77 adjacent acres of land. It's a very large spot, smack dab in the middle of our coverage. Right. It allows us to not seek any other dimensional requirements whatsoever, right? We're not asking for a setback relief, just the height. It's heavily forested. It's located smack dab in the middle of those 2 lots to alleviate any aesthetical issues. And it's kind of a needle in a haystack really situation to have this large of a lot, undeveloped. A couple other things. The subject property has an existing access road to the site, which doesn't require the removal of any trees. The Kimball properties are heavily treed. They will screen, obscure, and soften the appearance of the facility better than smaller, less treed properties within the search ring. The proposed site is set back from several nearby water bodies, reducing visual impacts by the water. The nearest 2 water bodies, Songo River and Brandy Pond, are located approximately 2,900 feet away. Turkey Pond is approximately 4,400 feet away, and Sebago Lake is approximately 7,000 feet away. As shown on the alternative locations map, alternative available properties that are large enough to accommodate a 100% tower height setback will be much closer to these water bodies. As shown in the enclosed exhibits, the facility is located outside of and does not intrude on wildlife habitats, development-constrained locations, scenic views, agricultural and forest resource areas, wetlands, aquifers, and floodplains. We're trying to find a lot, so we have to ask for the little amount of relief as possible. I think, and we go through in extensive detail why the other lots in the search area are worse, right? A worse situation for the town. Lastly, in your comprehensive plan from 2006, you identify areas of town that are important to town, right? One of which is it's called the Comprehensive Plan Wildlife Habitat, Exhibit A. We're located outside of any areas distinguished as wildlife habitat areas. Another one that's important, I think, is the Naples Scenic Views provision from the master plan in 2006. We show here that we're locating outside and away from any designated scenic view areas in town, right? We tried our best to put it in a place where you previously considered it not to be a scenic view area, right? Same thing with agricultural and forest resources. We're outside of that lot. We're outside of literally every place that you deemed important, at least in 2006. A portion of the search ring is located in the town of Casco, right? That portion is the state park, right? We went to the state. They declined to offer us any lease area in the state park. We cannot go there, okay? We went there. They said no. So hopefully you have a chance to take a look at this. Lastly, I wanted to invite Ken up just to give you a very quick introduction to what the site will look like, what the pole would look like, that sort of thing.
Good evening. I'm Ken Curley from Tarpon Towers. So we are proposing a 120-foot galvanized monopole. The color is going to be a dark grayish silver. It's not going to rust. It's meant to weather the conditions. The access road is going to be along Wilderness Way. It's an existing access road. We're going to have to improve it for emergency management, for fire, police, if they need to access the site for any other reason. The lot itself, towards the top, there's minimal clearing that's required to be able to construct the site. As Mark had alluded to, we tried to identify a location within the municipality that would best fit your variances, your zoning, your planning, and provide the least intrusive impact to the community.
Speaking to me.
Just with that, I'm happy to run through the variance criteria to the extent that's helpful.
That would be helpful.
So, the first criteria is the proposed structure or use would meet the requirements of this ordinance, except for the specific provisions which have created the nonconformity and from which relief is sought. So that is true, but for the height relief, there are no other noncompliance issues with the project. The strict application of this ordinance would result in undue hardship. The term undue hardship shall mean all of the following. Now, coupled with the Telecommunications Act language that I gave to you earlier, your criteria aren't spot on with this project, but I'll do my best to show you. That the land in question cannot yield a reasonable return unless the variance is granted. So the land in question is undeveloped. It's owned by a landlord. And without the use of his lot, Verizon could not construct a cell tower that would meet its coverage demands as required under the TCA. It's the only feasible location for the project, which will provide an important public resource to the town and the public. The proposed height of the project is the minimum necessary for the project to properly operate and fill the coverage gap identified by Verizon within this cell. The second criteria, that the need for a variance is due to the unique circumstances of the property and not to the general conditions in the neighborhood. Here, like I said, we identified a search ring. This is the property we located that was least intrusive and had a landlord that was willing to work with us. So it's a unique property in that sense. The third criteria, that the granting of a variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. We located the lot that would most screen the tower. It's heavily forested. It's not developed. We don't have to cut down many trees, if any, to do this. We haven't covered this yet, but all told, there's only a 100 by 100 foot lease area. In the smack dab in the middle, there'll be some cement footings poured for the tower, but otherwise, all of the existing screening is going to stay. We're not cutting down any trees. And the closest residences are between 900 and 1,000 feet away. Again, the project will enhance governmental facilities and promote the public welfare by promoting a modern, more efficient system of communications for the police, fire, and other emergency services, as well as modern wireless telecommunication service to business and industry and individuals. As you know, due to the remote work since COVID, people rely upon wireless all the time. It isn't just one of these things. Everyone's got 2 or 3 of these things in a fridge and a garage door, and they all require, as you might expect. Lastly, the hardship is not the result of any action taken by the applicant, by the owner, by any prior owner, or by anyone with the consent of the owner or any prior owner. I mean, Verizon's gap in coverage isn't created by the owner or the lot. It is what it is. There's a gap in coverage, and we try and find the lot that best meets the coverage area pursuant to the TCA of 1996. And honestly, we felt that there's no perfect spot. I'm not going to lie to you, but this is a pretty darn good spot given the size of the lot in the existing forested nature of it. So we appreciate your patience with us, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
No further questions?
Would you like me to?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so for tonight's meeting, I had created a memo or draft notice for decision, which you guys get to make the decision whether you deny or approve, but has listed some of the findings of fact as well as conclusions of law. Tonight, we are only looking at the height. That's the only thing that's on your table. All of the other information that was submitted to you as part of the application was just to enhance the understanding, I guess, of going backtrack. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history of the application right now, just so you'll know what happened through the planning board process. On October 8th, we received the application. It was received both for site plan review and the variance. With consulting with our attorney, it was deemed that it wasn't appropriate for the meeting to be held with both boards on the same night. So it was separated into planning board for site plan review, which is in their purview, and the appeal for the height for you, and separate meetings, that it would not be appropriate to have both boards in the same meeting. So we separated those two, which is the typical procedure here in Naples. We received the application, we put it on the next available planning board meeting, meeting the deadlines for the submittal. The application for site plan review was first held on January 7th, and at that meeting, much of this information that you heard, some of what you heard tonight was also included. The planning board deliberated on the merits of site plan review. The variance was placed on the January 28th Board of Appeals meeting, which you guys were aware of. It was asked to be tabled by the applicant or postponed until the next meeting, which is tonight. In the meantime, that application came back to the public hearing on February 4th, 2025 for the planning board. It's at that meeting that the planning board conditionally approved the application. One of the many conditions that were on that application was that they needed to receive the variance. Obviously, they cannot build this or construct this without the variance. For all of those meetings, we did the required both by state and local statute, the notifications, the advertising, as well as abutter notices by state law, and I believe Naples may even exceed state law. And so we also advertise twice, which is not necessarily required. The state says that it has to be a newspaper has to be published in a newspaper. Naples doesn't have a newspaper. So we go to Bridgeton, and we went beyond that and went to the Portland Press Herald. So I just wanted to clear that up as far as the town has done what the town needs to do, required notifications and advertisement, as well as it has been to more than one meeting. That being said, I have included that in the findings as well. There are two ordinances that are in play tonight. There's a couple things in play tonight. The town of Naples has not adopted a specific ordinance for wireless communication towers. So in the town of Naples, there is essentially no place that you could build anything over 55 feet. Communication towers are allowed in the rural zoning district, capped at 55 feet. That language is older, for sure. Most wireless communication are taller than 55 feet. That's why we're here tonight. The other thing that's in play is there's another ordinance that's older, the minimum lot size ordinance, which also addresses structure height. So the variance is actually not only from the land use ordinance, but from the minimum lot size, also the minimum lot size ordinance. That is on the docket to be repealed at the next town meeting because it's old, it's archaic, it was meant to be superseded, it just wasn't repealed. However, we, in consultation with the attorney, she says we need to do, if the variance is granted, it needs to be from both ordinances because they're both still on the books. So with that being said, I constructed this memo. It goes through the findings of fact. The representative from Tarpon Towers just went through the criteria, which is found in 7B 1 through 4 in the Naples Land Use Ordinance for appeals and procedures. That language does not meet the uniqueness of this particular situation. And so he's addressed those 1 through 4, 7B 1 through 4, to the extent that's possible. It's clearly talking about a different type of variance in many cases, because you're typically looking at setbacks, is what a lot of this is crafted for. This is a very unique one. In 210-1, the Board of Appeals does have the authority, I'm just going to read it, variances may be granted from dimensional requirements including frontage for area, lot width, structure height, and percentage of lot coverage. Structure height is one of the specific ones that is listed as you can grant relief from. So that's where I have, I think that you guys should have any deliberation or discussion that you would like to have, and then we could go back to the memo if you would like to talk about what I've drafted.
Do we want me to go through the finding of facts here?
That would be a good place to start, yes.
Okay, so just read through these, and I
1
don't need to
through
go through
10.
some of the definitions, and then, okay, correct? All right, so, as Kathy said, there are some findings of facts. So the owners of the property are Scott and Kendra Kendall. The applicant is Tarpon Towers, 2.
It's actually a 3.
Oh.
That's a typo.
Okay, 3. LLC and Verizon Wireless. The applicant for the height variance has demonstrated a legal interest in the property via a lease agreement. The property is located at 26 Wilderness Way, Naples, Maine, 04055. It is in the rural zoning district as shown on tax map R07, lot 4045, on approximately 37.6 acres. On October 8th, 2024, an application received from Nixon Peabody, the appellant's attorney, for the planning board for site plan review and for a variance from the requirement for height, which allows for a maximum of 55 feet for a structure in the rural zone district. The town determined that administratively, the planning board site plan review and the request for a variance from the Board of Appeals could not occur at the same meeting. We discussed this, but could occur concurrently.
At the same time.
What's that?
At the same time.
At the same time. The application for site plan review appeared at the planning board on January 7th, 2025. At that meeting, the planning board deemed the application complete. The request for a variance from the height dimensional requirement was placed on January 28th, 2025 Board of Appeals agenda today, and the appellant requested that the appeal be postponed until the regularly scheduled February 25th meeting today, 2025 Board of Appeals meeting. The planning board held a public hearing on February 4th, 2025. At that meeting, the planning board approved the site plan application for the wireless communication tower subject to conditions, one of which was the following. Condition 2A, the project requires a height variance from the Naples Board of Appeals. The application will be placed on the next available agenda. No building permits will be issued unless and until the Board of Appeals approves the required variance. And lastly, the applicant provided FAA certification for the proposed 124-foot commercial wireless tower. And then from a conclusion of law, the applicant submitted the required materials and followed the applicable appeal procedures found in section 210, variance appeals process. The following applicable definitions found in section 400 of the Naples Land Use Ordinance are as follows. I'm not going to bother reading what a commercial tower is, what a structure is, and what structure height is. Commercial towers are permitted in the rural zoning district per 504, 1.b of the Naples Land Use Ordinance. The maximum height allowed in the rural zone district is 55 feet per 504.1.d.v. The variance request is to allow for a 124-foot commercial wireless communication tower. And the Town of Naples minimum lot size ordinance has last revised on June 11, 2002, has not been repealed. In section 6F of the ordinance, it states that the height of any structure outside of the shoreline zone shall not exceed 55 feet. The variance request is for 124 feet. Per 210.1, the Board of Appeals has the authority to grant the variances for dimensional requirements, including structure height. The board finds that the proposed commercial wireless communication tower would otherwise meet the requirements of the ordinance except for the specific provisions of height. And the board finds that the height variance requested is the minimum extent necessary to accomplish the purpose of the appeal, and that the height variance is granted as strictly possible to conform with the purposes and provisions of the ordinance.
So obviously you guys need to discuss that.
No.
As whether or not you feel that it meets
Yeah,
those
yeah.
requirements.
Right.
In addition to that, I would add number 9.
I thought they might have
Yeah.
talked about that
Yeah.
at the planning board.
No, these are the specific things that you need to look at
Okay.
for the height variance.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. Is there any discussion from the other Board of Appeals people regarding the height variance? No?
No.
Russ? You understand what's before us? 55 feet going to 124. Okay.
So basically, the planning board doesn't have the authority
Yep, to make that,
to make that determination.
Right.
Only you have that authority.
and so at this point, I should entertain a motion to approve the variance?
First, I would like to add one thing. It was, there was a question as to whether or not anybody had visited the site. The planning board did visit the site.
I did.
And so, I believe some of the members of this board as well. We did hold a site plan, which was duly advertised and noticed, and that occurred on 12/3/2024. And additionally, I do have one more conclusion. The applicant just addressed 210-7B 1 through 4, that the application, as presented by him, meets the hardship criteria 7B 1 through 4
Okay.
in the Naples Land Use Ordinance.
Okay.
So that would be number 9
On this,
on,
it would be number 9
if,
on this.
if you were to agree that that is met. And you should vote that those are met.
Each one of
if
these needs to be voted on individually?
You can take the, you
can
can combine them. Well, actually, in this particular case, I would read each one and vote individually if they're met.
do I need to reread them?
I would reread the findings of fact. You could do the 1 through 9, because those are just reiterating the history. So those you could do a motion to approve the findings of fact 1 through 10, but when it comes to the conclusions of law, I would read those out and do an individual vote for each one of those.
Can I not just aggregate all the ones on the findings of fact, because I've already read them,
Yes,
all right?
yes,
So finding the facts 1 through
10,
10,
yes.
all right, we need to vote on that as a group.
Excuse me?
We vote on them aggregate collectively.
Yes,
All right,
as a group.
So I'm looking for
A motion.
a motion to accept the findings of fact per the document you have in your hands, items 1 through 10. Do I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to accept the 1 through 10.
Seconded?
Second.
All those approved? Do we have to, you want our names, or are they going to be written down?
If it's unanimous, you don't need to do the names.
Okay, Russ? Russ, you approve?
Yeah,
Okay, it's unanimous then. Okay. Then on the conclusion of law, since I've read those also, you want me to read through
I
them
think you should do
individually?
individual votes on these
Okay,
and start with 1, and I just added a number 9, and when you get to 9, I'll read that again for you.
okay. All right. All right, so we're going to go through each one of these again, gentlemen, and we're going to vote on them individually. We'll need a motion and a second, and any further discussion. The applicant submitted the required materials and followed the applicable appeal procedures found in section 210, variance appeals process. Do I have a motion to approve conclusion of law number 1?
Motion approved. Second.
All those in favor, please. 2, the following applicable definitions found in section 400 of the Naples Land Use Ordinance are as follows. Do I need to read each one of those definitions?
I would.
Okay. Includes radio, radar, television, or radio telephone transmitting, repeating or broadcasting towers and necessary accessory structures, but not studios or offices for such activities. A structure, anything constructed, erected, or placed on the ground which is permanent, temporary, or mobile. Structure includes, but is not limited to, building, mobile homes, recreational vehicles, commercial vehicles, piers and floats, storage and processing facilities. Boundary walls, fences, flagpoles and poles, wiring and other aerial equipment normally associated with service drops, as well as guying and guy anchors, are not considered structures. Temporary structures are allowed as long as they do not stay a duration of more than 1 week. Do I have a,
Make a motion.
oh wait,
Beach
the
number two.
structure height, excuse me. The vertical distance between the mean original prior to construction, grade at the uphill side of the structure, and the highest point on the structure, excluding chimneys, steeples, antennas, and similar appurtenances that have no floor area. Motion for number 2, please.
Make a motion, beach number two.
Seconded.
Favor? Thank you. Number 3, commercial towers are permitted in the rural zone district per 504, 1.b of the Naples Land Use Ordinance. Do I have a motion for the, number 3, please?
Make a motion for number three, beach number three.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. The maximum height allowed in the rural zone district is 55 feet per 504.1.d.v. The variance request is to allow for a 124-foot commercial wireless communication tower. Motion, please.
Make a motion to allow for the 120-foot commercial wireless communication tower.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Number 5, the Town of Naples minimum lot size ordinance, last revised on June 11th, 2002, has not been repealed. In section 6F of the ordinance, it states that the height of any structure outside the shoreline zone shall not exceed 55 feet. The variance request is for 124 feet. Motion.
Make a motion to allow the variance for 124 feet.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please?
Aye.
Per 210.1, the Board of Appeals has the authority to grant variances from dimensional requirements, including structure height. Motion, please.
Make a motion to allow number 6. Is it 6?
Seconded.
Yes.
Any discussion? Vote. Unanimous. The board finds that the proposed commercial wireless communication tower would otherwise meet the requirements of the ordinance except for the specific provision for height. Motion, please.
Make a motion to beach number 7.
All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor? Number 8, the board finds that the height variance requested is at the minimum extent necessary to accomplish the purpose of the appeal, and that the height variance is granted as strictly as possible to conform with the purposes and provisions of the ordinance. Motion, please.
Make a motion to beach number 8.
All those in favor?
If I may,
Yes, you may. Number 9.
number 9, that would be that the board would find that it meets the criteria found in 210.7B 1 through 4. And that's the hardship criteria that was reiterated by the applicant. And I can read that criteria if you would like.
You go 55 feet to 124.
No, the land in question cannot yield a reasonable return unless the variance is granted, that the need for the variance is due to the unique circumstances of the property and not the general conditions of the neighborhood, that the granting of the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, and the hardship is not a result of any action taken by the applicant, by the owner, or any prior owner, or by anyone with the consent of the owner or any prior owner.
Motion, please.
Make a motion to beach number 9.
In favor, please. Unanimous.
Below that, there is a motion, a draft motion for your consideration.
Okay.
That's in the bold.
Do I make that motion?
You may.
Okay, I'll do that since make a motion, move to approve the application from Tarpon Towers 3 LLC and Verizon Wireless for a variance to the maximum allowed height in the rural zone district found in section 504.1.d.v of the Naples Lands Use Ordinance and in section 6F of the Naples Minimum Lot Size Ordinance to allow for a 124-foot commercial wireless communication tower and associated improvements located at 26 Wilderness Way, map lot R07-045 in the rural zoning district. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Let me see if there's anything else.
Is there any other new business?
The one thing that I would like to mention is that any party may make an appeal to the Superior Court within 45 days of the board's decision to approve the variance appeal according to section 2096 of the Naples Land Use Ordinance. Concerning the other conversation was that if there's an appeal, that would be appeal to the planning board's decision. What was discussed earlier tonight as part of the public hearing, not
Not
your
the variance.
decision, not the
Right,
variance.
The location, approving its,
Approving the application
Right, yep.
is a different appeal entirely.
okay. All right,
Yeah, we have.
all right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I think you should probably officially postpone the next one. Did we do that?
March
I don't think we
25th?
did, Yeah,
Yeah.
the second item,
Oh, yeah.
I'll make a motion to postpone it to the next meeting.
We have a motion to have our next meeting of the Board of Appeals on scheduled meeting, March 25th of 2025. Motion. Sounds good.
All set.
Well set. Adjourn the meeting at 6:52.